Happy Wednesday, UnWoke Nation. I'd like to welcome you to episode 111 of the UnWoke Show, where free speech is welcome, all subjects are on the table, and your boys Rich and Tim bring you the latest and greatest of your entertainment, baby. I'm your host, Rich, along with my co-host here. How you doing, Tim?
Oh, great, Rich, man. UnWoke Nation, guys, it's great to be back talking talking to you with this evening. Guys, we're going to do a little housekeeping real fast. If you're just finding us or wanting to help other people find us, you can find us on all the major podcasting platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Listen Notes, Podchaser, Boomplay, Good Pods. Guys, wherever you're getting your podcasts, do a search for us. You're going to find us out there. We got plenty of great content for you to download and listen to. Or you can reach us directly at feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Again, that is feedback@unwoketheshow.com. And tonight, guys, we're kicking things off with something that has been brewing for quite a while. And that is the left's fascination or love fest with the whole pro-Palestine movement. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you've paid attention to any of the news, all the sit-ins and stuff that have happened at major academic universities, turn on the news any given time, you're going to hear some sort of story about Palestine marching, whether it's in the United States or in Europe or in other nations. Or recently a graduate from MIT who was barred from attending the commencement because of her pro-Palestinian commencement speech, if you will. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to provide context around this whole pro-Palestine movement, what's behind it, why so many people today, especially the left, are just entrenched with this particular movement and what it means. And so in order to understand that, we need to go back in history just a little bit. Post the end of World War II, you had essentially the displacement of the Jewish community. The Jewish community did not feel safe in liberated Germany at this point, mm-hmm. and they needed to be resettled. If you happen to know your American history, the United States had a lot to do with the resettlement of the Jewish people in the state of Israel. And in fact, their provisional government was established on May 14th, 1948. The United States played a significant role in the process by recognizing Israel on the same day and providing substantial support. At the center of all that is the Zionist movement. It's the origin of Israel lie. The origins of Israel lie in the Zionist movement, which aimed to establish a Jewish state in Palestine. Okay. So before the establishment of Israel itself, Palestine itself was a territory. Okay. It was controlled and under Turkish rule of the Ottoman Empire. After World War I and the collapse of the empire, the territory known as Palestine, the portion of which west of the River Jordan was also known as the Land of Israel by Jews, was marked out and assigned to Britain to administer by the victorious Allied powers, soon after endorsed by the League of Nations. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're taking a territory, we're carving it out, we're saying to the Jewish community, y'all can hang out here now. Okay. The terms of the mandate entrusted Britain with establishing in Palestine a national home for the Jewish people, so long as doing so did not prejudice the civil and religious rights on non-Jewish communities there. Okay? So then we fast forward, the rise of the Palestinian Arab nationalism, coupled with the rapid growth of Palestine's smaller Jewish population, especially after the advent of Nazism in the 1930s, saw an escalation in Arab-Jewish violence in Palestine. Okay? And so, again, we're talking about the Zionist movement. Again, that is a nationalistic ideology and political movement that supports the establishment and maintenance of a Jewish state in the land of Israel, advocating for the return of Jewish people to their ancestral homeland. Okay?
Yes.
So with that, as you can see, you've got the state of Israel growing and expanding. And throughout our histories, the 40s, 50s on up, there was always some sort of small wars, if you will, breaking out, whether it was over the West Bank or the Gaza Strip. Something was always going on, right? The Jewish leadership in Palestine declared the establishment of the State of Israel on May 14th, 1948, as we said. The moment the British mandate terminated, though, without announcing its borders. The following day, Israel was invaded by 5 Arab armies, marking the start of Israel's War of Independence. The fighting ended in 1949 with a series of ceasefires, producing armistice lines along Israel's frontiers with neighboring states and creating the boundaries of what became known as the Gaza Strip, occupied by Egypt, and East Jerusalem and the West Bank, occupied by Jordan. Okay? To the left, Israel is seen as the oppressor, much as you could say Germany was the oppressor during World War II. Okay. And the left being the left, were, protesting against what you could say is violence against Palestine itself, oppression, and seeing the continued rise of Israel, right? Palestinians are saying, hey, wait a minute, we were here before you guys. Israel was saying, hey, we're here now. We're taking over. We're moving. You guys have to get out of the way. Then you couple that with Hamas attacking Israel, right? And it's just been a giant domino effect. Okay. And the real focus of these demonstrations is not on the alleged victims, right, that we have seen in Harvard, Columbia, and other places, right? But rather on the alleged perpetrators. The demonstrations are actually more anti-Israel than pro-Palestinian. Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran are the perpetrators, denying statehood to the Kurds. China is the perpetrator of violence against the Uyghurs, the Syrian...
Uyghurs.
Uyghurs?
Yes.
The Syrian and Iranian regimes are responsible for violence against their citizens. Russia invaded Ukraine, right? And so what you can really see is this, it's about trying to fight oppression, right? The left does not hate these oppressors. They do hate Israel and its primary ally, the United States, because they are free market Western states.
Okay.
Consequently, they support the enemies of these states, who in this case are the Palestinians. In previous wars, the left supported the Viet Cong, Pol Pot, North Korea, and Cuba. It has always been more about identifying with the alleged perpetrators, Stalin, Hitler, Mao, Castro, Che Guevara, than with the alleged victims. Right, so you got it. So the left is actively protesting against Israel. Mm-hmm. Okay. As you know, Hamas being funded by Iran. So in reality, Israel is really fighting a proxy war, right? They're fighting Hamas, which is funded by Israel. So in essence, Israel is fighting Iran. Mm-hmm. Okay. It goes on to make this point. It is Hamas, not Israel, that is responsible for much, if not all, of the victimization of Palestinian civilians.
Well, we can actually see that as being a factor where we go back to just happened just this past week. I think it was even over the weekend or so. We actually had this current administration under the Trump administration took time to actually be able to drop off food and stuff. When there was a video that was actually done on the ground at that time where we actually had people who were thanking the Trump administration and other, I guess, groups, because it's probably not just the United States, were for actually delivering food. Something that was very interesting that a person said, it's like, basically the individual basically said that, Trump is feeding us while Hamas is starving us. Now, I understand that there's been a lot of controversy in regards to how, what the lands are coming and different things like that. And we can both agree where there's been a lot of takeover. I mean, most of our countries that we have right now is because of basically wars and tribal wars and things have been taken over time wars. So I'm sure a lot of people out there, probably even on UnWoke Nation, like, what is it so big about this particular land? Now I understand where so people can go from it from a religious perspective and also, but it sounds like sometimes people will look at this as being like, well, they just dumped them anywhere and thought that was okay. But actually, in fact, we show that actually history does go back even as far as what was considered the Iron Age. And we were doing some research with that. So, nope, right there. So, and when we talk about that, we look at going back to even as far as back into the second millennium, and also, which was basically considered the area of Canaan that Israel's were actually with. Now, granted, they have been taken over many a time and everything. So from the Babylonians and a lot of stuff is even written in the Bible as well. And also, and I guess according to, like they said, it was formed as a united kingdom of Israel, and also one being Samaria, the other one being I'm saying it wrong, Judah, and also, but yeah, as far as it shows where it's like, yeah, you have, I think we see right here, it's like, King Israel fell to the Neo-Assyrian Empire, which we know about Syrians before. Right. And also around 722, while the kingdom of Judah was conquered by the Neo-Babylonian Empire, dating back to 586. So there is a connection of it, and obviously there's been a spreading of Israelites or Jewish people, or so even as far as Italy, so going there, and also it's like, yes, I understand a word that there has been an establishment, basically an official establishment that you had said earlier about there being the kingdom, which was in May 14th, 1948. You are right about that, and also, but I think what it is the people out there who are protesting, are first and foremost, I think, number one, which you and I agree, it's almost like, what's the new trending thing to protest? And also, yeah, for sure. It's almost like, the left. It's almost like a fad for the left, right? Right. It's like, so that's what, that's one thing is, okay, this is just a new thing to protest and then even you and I both agree, there have been people out there who are protesting even for their own little individual, you could say like their little sub protest about stuff that even people who are in Gaza right now, when asked the question about, is this side little thing, would you support? They were like, no, we wouldn't even support that. Right. So it's kind of like, what are you standing for? Now, one thing is like that I've always been confused, and I had to do some research on this as well. And I've done some things about this before. It's like, where the Palestinian says like, yes, we want to be able to have our own land. But one thing where that's never mentioned is that in fact, the people of Palestine have actually been given 3 opportunities that was offered for their land. 3. And this dates all the way back to the 1940s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when we look at when we're looking at that, and also, and in fact, where it shows right here, it actually started. I was correct. I'm actually sorry about that, Tim. I was wrong about here. It actually starts back into 1937. So apparently, according to the Peel Commission plan, the British proposed 2-state solution, giving Arabs 80% of the land and 20%, where the Jews accepted, but the Arabs did not. In 47, according to the United Nations, they voted to create 2 states. One was Jewish, one was Arab. The Jews accepted and the Arabs didn't. And it went on to war. And then, of course, obviously the famous 6-Day War in 67 was another situation. So there have been, and of course, because I think the Camp David Summit, or that was when, that was what, Obama's second term?
Obama's second term.
The one they sit at a table and they having a beer. I thought it was actually a really cool thing.
Thought it could. But I think I would say, I think at the heart of this, right, it's the disproportionate focus on the Palestinians and Israel can be explained only by bigoted hatred of a nation state, of the Jewish people and its alliance with the United States, and the wish to see them brought down, right? Because
I would agree with that, because they're basically, Israel's pretty much their only ally in the Middle East.
And who acknowledged Israel in their first term, most recently? Trump.
Yes.
In his first term, and he was the only president to actually come out and formally acknowledge the nation state of Israel, right? And Israel being an ally of the United States.
Right. It's the first person to really say it. It's like we kind of knew it, but he was the first president to actually say it. Because the truth is, like I said, there's a lot of enemies of the United States that are there. Mm-hmm. Some you might agree that we actually call friends, well, they're more kind of like frenemies. Right. We just don't know. But go ahead. Come on.
So, right, there has been plenty of memes, or not plenty of memes, there has been plenty of videos of pro-Palestinian protests, say in New York City, where they're actively burning the American flag. Right. And you see the guy try to stop the one protester from actually burning the flag, right? Mm-hmm. To obviously the campus sit-ins, famously Harvard, right, which was more about instigators, I would say, at the end of the day, once the smoke cleared and dust settled, right, because they had found that almost 2/3 of the protesters weren't even affiliated with Harvard itself, and a third of the students had just, this is cool, I'll sign my name, and
exactly, and
soy babies, basically.
Exactly, it just kind of makes you wonder. It's like, okay, well, where are you getting all this stuff? Who's paying you? Why do you happen to be here? Why do you even find the time? Because you and I, we've been watching the videos where a lot of this stuff, what is happening, is like midday.
Well, and then factor in the tech sector as well. There was the famous incident at Google where multiple employees had been fired for pro-Palestinian sentiment. They actually locked themselves in a Google office and demanded Google cut all ties with Israel, right? So it's not just affecting Israel, Palestine, Hamas, Iran, right? It's hitting home even in American business. And to take it one step further, over this past weekend, there was a gentleman in Colorado.
Gosh, that's wow.
Yeah.
Right, man.
So, and this is coming directly from ABC News, okay, that an Egyptian citizen was arrested after allegedly throwing Molotov cocktails at a group of marchers advocating for the release of Israeli hostages outside the Boulder courthouse on Sunday, injuring 15 people. Okay. Solomon, he lived in Kuwait for 17 years before moving to Colorado Springs 3 years ago, according to court documents, and has been in the U.S. on an expired tourist visa. Okay. He was granted a work permit, but that had also expired in March. Solomon allegedly said he had been planning Sunday's attack for 1 year, but waited until his daughter graduated from high school last Thursday to carry it out, according to state and federal documents. Solomon tried to buy a handgun at a sporting goods store in November, but was denied.
Shocker.
Yep. According to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, he tried to buy the weapon in November of 2024, but was denied based on National Instant Criminal Background Check System. Essentially, he wasn't a U.S. citizen. It says the reason for the denial wasn't disclosed, and he did not appeal it, but it does go on to say that because ultimately he was not a citizen, right? And then he also applied for a month later in December for a concealed carry handgun permit. It said, after Solomon was arrested, he allegedly told investigators that he took a concealed carry class to learn how to fire a gun, but had to use Molotov cocktails for the attack after he was denied the purchase of a gun due to him not being a legal citizen. Solomon said he used YouTube to learn how to make the Molotov cocktails. 16 unused Molotov cocktails were within arm's reach when he was arrested.
Yeah, because wasn't he standing? I mean, he standing like two-fisting it. Like, I know they said there was a lady where, so she's a little bit critical, obviously critical condition, and she was just, it was just such a sad situation to hear that. It's unbelievable.
Solomon has been charged with a federal hate crime and state charges, including 16 counts of attempted first-degree murder, according to court documents. Solomon told police he wanted to kill all Zionist people and wished they were all dead. Solomon stated he would do it, conduct an attack again. He said this had nothing to do with the Jewish community and was specific in the Zionist group supporting the killings of people on his land, Palestine.
Yeah, this had nothing to do. No, that definitely has a lot of stuff to do. That's an excuse. They said when they arrested him, he had no remorse for what he did.
No, he
knew what he's going to do. Obviously, like I said, he couldn't shoot anybody because he couldn't get a gun.
Right.
So this is the next way of him leading on. And also, obviously, I think he overstayed his welcome twice.
Absolutely.
So it's like, no, just go ahead and let you stay. Okay, now you got to go, but he stayed anyway, and and did that. So yeah, that's just crazy.
And so, but that speaks to the heart of people in this country who fully support Palestine. And Rich, I think you would agree that a large portion, I don't know if I would go significant, but a large portion you see coming from the LGBT community.
Yes, and that's kind of what I was going by, before. It's like, so I found a video that was very interesting. I found it was very interesting because you had a lot of the ones talking about LGBT for Palestine, just like that. But
gays for Palestine.
Gays for whatever you want to call them. And the thing is that there was a reporter that went over to Gaza, I guess I was one of the peaceful areas, and he brought that up. And he basically says, like, we have people who are protesting for you guys who also say, gays for Palestine, stuff like that. And every person that they had interviewed when asked about this subject, they were like, we do not condone this. So it just kind of like, where do you feel that you want to infiltrate some other protest, whatever it is that you don't like, and think that that's just like going to fly in the people that you support? I mean, like I said, it was actually made by Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm saying this, they call him Bibi. And also it was even said too, he said, do you understand when you guys are doing this, you said, oh, we are Hamas, so like that, they are laughing at you. Because basically it's like, you're doing the propaganda for us. If you're going to be dumb enough to put down your own country, it's like, then okay.
Yeah.
You know,
So
which and one more thing too, man. It's like the people you said that were actually in Google were that blockade themselves. And they said because they wanted the owners of Google, you know, to dismiss themselves from Israel.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not going to happen because Larry Page, who's also the founder of Google and all, is Ashkenazi Jewish.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, let's try.
Yeah, but you know. That speaks to the heart of the kids who are trying to negotiate with the president of Harvard of wanting Harvard to break all ties with Israel and financial support and all this other stuff, right?
Right.
So switching over, you know, we were just talking about gays for Palestine, right?
Yes.
Homosexuality is considered a taboo subject. Discrimination and societal pressure are high. There are reports of family intolerance, forced marriage, and even honor killings by family members.
Yeah.
Okay. Public opinion polls show low acceptance of homosexuality. Right?
Yep.
There are reports of Palestinian security forces and Israeli intelligence using sexual orientation to blackmail individuals into becoming informants. Yeah, it doesn't pay to be gay in Palestine.
Yeah, and like I said, in a lot of the other countries too, it's like, you know, see, a lot of those countries, Tim, you know, they believe surely in Sharia law.
Yeah.
And Sharia law...
They don't fuck around with that shit.
Yeah, that's what you just said, where it's like, yeah, they do not mess around with Sharia law. And it's like, you know, I don't think people here who are trying to do all these protests truly understand. You know, it's like that. And like I said, because, you know, we're real on the show. So it's kind of like, you know, we say how it is, like, yeah, we're for this and all like that. It's like, okay, I want you to take your butt over there. I promise you will not be living very long. Because Sharia law, like you said, Tim, does not play around.
No, they do not.
It really doesn't.
They don't.
Okay, so maybe you should really think about, like, what you're actually protesting and what it stands for. How many times have we seen videos when, you know, they're out there saying from the river to the sea and some people don't even know what the hell that means?
No.
It's like, seriously, is there something, is it anti-American to get educated? I mean, what is it? I don't get it.
So I'm Rich. I'm right there with you. There's a great, I'm looking at Quora right now online, and there's a great post that says, why does the LGBT community support Hamas in Palestine when Hamas, PLO, and Palestinians kill gay and queer people in Gaza and the West Bank? Because the answer being, because many of them have been politically indoctrinated to view everything through an oppressed/oppressor lens. Jews hold significant influence and power, therefore they must be privileged oppressors. Palestinians are brown people with comparative little power and influence, so they must be the victims. That's what happens when you engage in reductive identitarianism and assume that every member of an identity group must be exactly the same. We used to call that racism. Now we call it woke. The irony is that gay and lesbian people would be safe in Israel and at risk of being killed.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see any people get hurt.
No.
It's like, you know, I don't, man.
And this isn't all of a sudden we're going down the LGBTQ.
No, it's part of the story.
But it's all part of, right, this view of the United States is supporting Israel, which then is oppressing Palestine. The left, again, being the left, libtard nation, grabbing on to that oppression and, the former Democratic presidential candidate and even former President Biden said we got to do more for Palestine. We got to, be more humane, humanitarian, right? It all feeds into why the left has such a fascination with the pro-Palestine movement itself.
But I just find it so funny because none of them would go over there if it's like go over there for vacation or anything. Not a damn person would go over there for any reason whatsoever.
What, do you want a vacation in a blown out building?
But what I'm saying is that, they're fighting for something that they can't even explain why.
I mean, I didn't know the Gaza Strip was a vacation destination.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm not saying, but you get my point. It's just, the point being, it's like they're making a big deal about something that they don't understand.
I completely agree.
About a situation which we already know that there's been several occasions where they even say like, hey, we're giving it like that. We don't want to have wars like that. No, we're not taking it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, whose fault is that? Where it's like when you've been given since 1937 opportunities to be able to have that and be able to, you still don't want to do it. What you have to give it to is like, yes, because Hamas, which by the way, it's been in power since what, 1993, I think, or something like that. And
they're funded by Iran.
Yeah, funded by Iran, a little bit of Qatar, all these different So there's been other stuff been going on that we didn't get the chance to get to.
Yeah.
But there's an issue that's just going on. So to sit there and, at least in my opinion, let's say that they've been oppressed, it's like I'm having a hard time believing it. And then when you're looking at it from the perspective, like you said, about the past administration like that, it's like it was a talking point.
Absolutely.
It was something that was like, what can we be able to attach what we're trying to do towards that everybody seems to be talking about? Oh, that's what they're doing? Okay, let's go with that. And it's kind of like,
no.
Really?
Yeah, no. No.
It just...
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
So, UnWoke Nation, we're going to leave it right there. Guys, we would love to get your feedback. You can reach us directly at feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Again, that is feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Rich, a pleasure as always. And guys, remember, stay unwoke.
See you.